The FBI was working day and night to investigate ferry explosion. They faced nothing but failure until the greatest detective joined them on that particular day. Welcome back to Paramount Recapped. I don't have many subscribers, but your single comment is a ray of hope to motivate me.
This is weird.
So, the movie kicks off with a bunch of Navy guys and a bunch of tourists all excitedly hopping onto a ferry. People are laughing, snapping pics, just soaking in the vibes. Meanwhile, down below on the car deck, one of the ferry workers hears this random cell phone ringing. Naturally, he goes to check it out. Turns out, the noise is coming from this super shady car with no license plate at all. The worker peeks inside and notices some weird gadgets and wires. But before he can even think about calling for backup or warning anyone, boom, the car explodes, and it's absolutely devastating. Over 500 innocent people lose their lives right then and there. Soon after, the authorities step in to figure out what on earth happened. The ATF sends a sharp agent named Doug Carlin to the blast site. Doug's one of those guys who notices every little thing. While digging through the mess, he finds a piece on an electric blasting cap, sticks it in an evidence bag, and keeps moving. Not long after, he bumps into an FBI agent named Paul. Paul's curious about Doug's partner, Larry. Doug tells him Larry's supposed to be on vacation, but weirdly enough, he hasn't been answering his phone all day. While poking around the scene some more, Doug and Paul stumble across ammonium nitrate, a key ingredient in bombs. That's when Doug puts two and two together. This wasn't just some accident, it was a full-on terror attack, planned out way in advance. Doug heads back to his office, but there's more weirdness waiting for him. His team says some random woman called earlier asking weird questions about him, like his height, his skin color, that kind of stuff. Doug tries calling her back, but no one picks up, so he just leaves a voicemail. Just when things couldn't get crazier, Doug gets a call from the local sheriff. Apparently, they found a woman's body floating near the river, burnt and battered. Doug first assumes she was one of the ferry victims, but after checking the timeline, he realizes she died before the ferry explosion even happened. Strange, right? Doug goes to take a look at the body and notices some really messed up stuff. Her fingers have been chopped off, her mouth was taped shut, and she was obviously murdered. Her name was Claire, and it didn't take long for Doug to figure out this case was way bigger than it looked. When he checks out Claire's home, he finds a haunting message stuck on the fridge. You can save her. Bloody clothes are scattered everywhere too. Creepy. Doug also listens to the voicemail messages on her machine and is stunned to hear his own voice. That's when it clicks. Claire was the mystery woman who tried to contact him earlier. Now things were getting personal. Doug meets up with Paul and another higher-up agent named Jack. He shares everything he's uncovered. Doug's theory? Claire wasn't a random victim. She was killed at least 2 hours before the ferry blew up, and her body was purposely burnt so she'd blend in with the other casualties. To make matters worse, Doug figures her car was used by her killer to plant the bomb on the ferry. Doug's hunch is that if they crack Claire's murder, they'll solve the ferry bombing too. Before leaving, Doug gets gut-punched by some horrible news. They find Larry's car among the wreckage. His partner wasn't just MIA, he was dead too. Seeing how good Doug is at piecing stuff together, Paul invites him to join a top-secret investigation team based out of a military facility. When Doug gets there, he's introduced to this insane piece of tech called Snow White. It's no ordinary surveillance system. It lets you peek 4 days and 6 hours into the past. But here's the catch. You can only watch a scene once. No rewinds, no do-overs. That's why they need sharp guys like Doug, who can catch important details at lightning speed. Doug tells them they should zero in on Claire's final days. They start following her around using Snow White, and Doug, against his better judgment, finds himself getting emotionally hooked on her. And something weird happens. Doug gets a call from forensics. They tell him his fingerprints were all over Claire's apartment. Doug's completely baffled because he knows he wore gloves the whole time. Something seriously fishy is going on. As they keep tracking Claire, she gets a call from some guy pretending to want to buy her car. Doug instantly suspects it's the killer trying to get close to her. Sadly, Claire unknowingly gives him her home address. The team rushes to track the mystery man. They trace the call to a sketchy phone booth, but it's too dark to get a good look at his face. Instead, they focus on the guy's backpack and manage to backtrack his movements. By now, Doug is getting serious something's off vibes. He starts questioning the whole Snow White setup. It's just too good to be simple surveillance. He needs proof. So, in a bold move, he points a laser right at the video feed, and Claire reacts to it. That's when the big truth finally drops. Snow White isn't just watching the past, it's touching it. Their actions in the present can mess with events 4 days ago. Mind blown. Doug pushes for more answers. Dr. Alex, who works on the tech, finally admits Snow White can actually bend space and time, creating a tiny wormhole. They're not just watching history, they're interacting with it. Doug immediately gets an idea. If they can send light back, why not something else? He convinces Alex to send a note to his past self, warning about the bomber. They pull it off, but there's a tragic twist. Larry, not Doug, finds a note. Larry tracks down the bad guy, but ends up getting shot and dragged away. The killer speeds off, trying to get far enough to escape Snow White's reach. To chase him down, Doug straps on a special headset that lets him see into the past while moving in the present. Wearing this high-tech gear, he races after the killer, trying to change the past before more lives are lost. So, Doug finds himself in a real mess now. He's chasing after the suspect like a maniac, even driving the wrong way into traffic just to keep up. It's total chaos, cars crashing, horns blaring, people freaking out, and he almost wrecks his ride a few times. But somehow, Doug manages to tail the guy back to his hideout. From her fancy tech room, Doug and the team watch the whole thing go down live. They see the suspect dragging poor Larry's body out of the van, coldly shooting him dead right there, and then setting him on fire. Doug is helpless. He can't do a thing to stop it. Turns out, by sending that note into the past, thinking they were going to stop the ferry explosion, all they really did was change how Larry died. No happy ending here. And because Larry smashed up the windshield during the struggle, the killer couldn't use his van anymore. He needed a fresh car to move his bomb, which is how Claire got mixed up in all of this. Basically, no matter what they tried, fate played out in a different way, but led to the same tragedy. Right after all this, the team finally puts a name and face to the monster, Carol Erstad. The guy tries to make a run for it, but lucky for them, he gets caught and hauled in. Doug is the one who sits down with him for the interrogation. Carol's all smug, talking about how he's following some grand destiny and that he wants to be remembered. Real psycho vibes. With Carol behind bars, Jack, Doug's boss, decides the case is closed and it's time to move on. Doug, though, he's not cool with that at all. He points out that Claire is still going to be murdered in the past in about 12 hours. He begs them to do something, to try and save her at least. But nobody's listening. They brush him off like he's crazy. Feeling defeated and frustrated, Doug heads back to Claire's place. That same eerie message is still there on the fridge. You can save her. Staring at it, Doug makes up his mind. He's going to do something nobody else is willing to. Go back in time himself. He talks to Alex, the brainiac behind the Snow White machine, about sending a living person back. Alex warns him that it's super dangerous. The machine messes with the body's electric signals, and most likely, Doug would die. But Doug's all in, he's not backing out. They fire up the machine, and in a blink, Doug gets blasted 4 days into the past. Doug wakes up inside a hospital, and it's not a gentle wake-up either. He's having a full-on seizure. Doctors and nurses are losing their minds, but somehow they manage to save him. As soon as he's conscious again, Doug wastes no time. He snatches a gun, hijacks an ambulance, and peels out towards Carol's hideout. He busts in just at the right moment. Carol's already doused Claire in diesel and is ready to finish her off. Doug smashes the ambulance right through the house, totally wrecking everything. Carol fires off a shot that hits Doug in the shoulder and then tries to make a quick getaway. Before running, Carol shoots at some gas cylinders, blowing the whole place sky high. Carol thinks he's killed both Doug and Claire, but nope. Doug managed to drag her out just before the house went up in flames. Doug calms Claire down, but they've still got problems. Since Claire's house is on the way to the ferry dock, Doug decides they'll swing by her place first to patch themselves up. Once they get to her house, Doug sets up the message on the fridge, the same one he saw before. He also cleans up a bit and tries to regroup. But Claire is starting to get major creeper vibes from Doug. He knows way too much about her life, stuff he shouldn't possibly know. Feeling cornered, she pulls a gun on him. Doug talks her down by telling her to call his office. She does, asking all those weird questions about his height and skin color. When the answers match up, she believes him. As Claire helps clean up Doug's wounds, it hits Doug hard. Nothing he's done has actually changed the future. All the signs, the fridge message, the bloody gauze, her phone call, they all still happen just like before. Realizing he's racing against time, Doug grabs Claire and they bolt towards the ferry. Doug explains the new plan. Erstad can't know anyone's onto him. If he realizes he's been found out, he might just blow the bomb early, killing even more people. The idea is to shadow Erstad quietly, find the bomb, and defuse it without tipping him off. Doug gets on the ferry, blending in with the crowd. But things go south fast. Erstad, while leaving, spots the ambulance Doug crashed into his hideout earlier. He immediately figures out that Doug survived and must be somewhere on the ferry, hunting him. Erstad sprints back onto the ferry to take care of business. Claire, seeing him double back, knows something's wrong and rushes on too, trying to find Doug and warn him. Unfortunately, Erstad catches her first. He ties her up in the car he loaded the bomb into. One of the ferry workers notices something's not right and tries to intervene, but Erstad straight up shoots him. And just like that, he goes on a rampage, gunning down anyone who crosses his path. Meanwhile, Doug sneaks up towards the car where Claire's trapped. He's running low on ammo and needs to act smart. He starts distracting Erstad by talking about stuff he learned during their interrogation session. It throws Erstad off just long enough for Claire to slam her car into him, giving Doug the chance to finally put him down for good. But the nightmare isn't over yet. Doug realizes there's not enough time left to safely deactivate the bomb. Thinking fast, he tells Claire they need to drive the whole car, bomb and all, into the river. They pull off. Claire manages to escape at the last second, but Doug gets trapped inside as the bomb explodes underwater, sacrificing himself to save everyone else. Claire is completely shattered. They stop the disaster, but she lost Doug, the man who saved her life. She's sitting there, trying to pull herself together, when she's told someone will come to take her statement. As she's waiting, she spots Doug casually walking towards her, alive and well. But something's off. Doug doesn't recognize her at all. It hits her. This isn't the same Doug. It's the Doug who never went through all that madness with her. See, when future Doug traveled back, both versions existed at once. Now, after future Doug died, only past Doug remains in this timeline. Doug gives Claire a friendly smile, hops in a car, and drives off into the distance, completely unaware of the incredible things he'd done for her. If you guys enjoyed this wild ride of story, don't forget to drop a comment. Smash that like button and hit subscribe if you want more awesome recaps coming your way. Thanks a ton for watching, and catch you next time.